This week in Idaho. Idaho is the first nation to remove COVID vaccines. Parents misuse Blackfoot safe haven box. A debate over Idaho lawmakers' pay, and so much more. This is the Yocal Idaho Midweek Report, where we give you a quick overview of the news in Idaho for the last week. And starting off with that first story here, and we have a wonderful midweek report for you this week. In a historic decision, Southwest District Health has become the nation's first health agency to remove COVID-19 vaccines from its 30 clinic locations. The board voted 4-3 following a presentation from medical experts and approximately 300 public comments expressing safety concerns. As for specific details on the decision, it affects 6 Idaho counties, but doesn't prevent residents from accessing vaccines through pharmacies and doctors' offices. Board member Dr. John Tribble emphasized the vote reflected evidence-based concerns about safety and efficacy compared to COVID-19's risks. But moving forward with the CDC and FDA continuing to recommend the vaccine, this local decision demonstrates Idaho's independent and evidence-based approach to public health policy. The move may influence other health districts, with 2 others already considering similar measures. And speaking about stuff that's been talked in the medical community, a tragic incident at Idaho's first safe haven baby box in Blackfoot last week, and has highlighted the importance of understanding how those facilities actually work and the intended purpose behind them. But specifically, on October 13th, Grove Creek medical staff discovered a deceased infant in the box, marking its first and improper use since its installation in July, which we also reported on. Specifically, the safe haven box was designed for surrendering live infants under 30 days old, providing a safe, anonymous option for parents in crisis. Monica Kelsey, founder of the Safe Haven Baby Box, emphasized that while the box functioned as designed, that everything went according to plan there, the parents didn't follow Safe Haven's laws or rules that they have for using the baby box there, so, kind of isn't their fault. In conclusion, and bringing a little bit more context to it, nationwide, 53 infants have been safely surrendered using these boxes, with under 153 surrendered in person, which is even better because you don't have to worry about this happening. And for parents over in that area that are dealing with an unplanned pregnancy and just can't handle having the baby in their life but don't want to abort it, you can call 1-866-99-BABY-1 for assistance. And speaking of something that's been a little contentious, especially when we're talking about politics, up there with abortion, is money spending and government stuff, especially with inflation lately. Idaho's Citizen Committee on Legislative Compensation is considering a significant pay increase for lawmakers, specifically with legislative leaders proposing up to a 43% raise. If you're wondering what that would look like, the plan would boost salaries from the $26,425,000 a year to $37,801 for legislators living within 50 miles of the capital, while those living farther away could see an increase between 32 to 38%. Now, there's obviously people on both camps, and it's split some people in the Republican Party here in the state. One side, supporters argue that this would help attract diverse talent and provide better constitutional service, noting Idaho's legislature is among the least staffed in the western states, staffed being the key word, that our legislators don't have staff, they have volunteers. However, critics point out this would make Idaho's part-time legislator the highest paid in America, specifically on that part-time aspect, and questioning the timing of this during really high inflation, which we're all very familiar with right now. They emphasize the legislature already receives generous benefits, including low-cost healthcare and pension eligibility. But wrapping that all together in a bow, while the current $19,913 base salary aligns with other part-time legislatures, there may be some room for some modest increases to match other constitutional offers raises, especially with inflation, because every business is doing that right now. Alternative solutions, though, like repurposing existing staff positions or utilizing AI tools, which we now have at our disposal in the 21st century, for legislative research, could address resource needs without substantial cost increases, which, if you want to go into this more in depth, there are 2 articles linked below that I think do a really good job of explaining both of the different positions. And staying within politics, but a little bit less political, Governor Brad Little has signed the Phone-Free Learning Act, encouraging Idaho schools to adopt a comprehensive cell phone restriction policy by the end of 2024 to 2025 school year. The initiative, supported by Superintendent Debbie Critchfield, aims to address the ongoing concerns about phones' negative impact on students' learning and mental health. We all know our mothers probably were right on that. Wapiti County School District, which has already implemented similar restrictions, and the Nampa one that we've talked about, reported to improve student focus and academic performance when they implemented said policy. A student testified that her grades improved after the school adopted a phone-free classroom policy. But moving forward, the executive order precedes potential legislation to codify school phone policy formally, demonstrating kind of Idaho's commitment to creating a more focused learning environment and really focusing on that's what you need to be doing there rather than phones. So it'll be interesting to see if these will have the intended effect that they're hoping they will. Which, if you've enjoyed the midweek report so far, please do us a favor and hit the like button on YouTube, Rumble, or Twitter. Helps us reach more folks who love Idaho just like you. And speaking of education and going to the library, 2 Eagle Library Board members, Sarah Haynes and Kelsey Taylor, were removed from their positions following a closed executive session of the Eagle City Council on October 8th. Now, specifically looking at what's going on there, the unanimous decision came after an hour-long discussion behind closed doors regarding potential personal matters and litigation that may be coming. But trying to give a little bit of a broader context, the removal follows a recent 3-2 board vote to relocate 20 books from the young adult to the adult section and 3 others behind the counter in response to House Bill 710, which we've reported on ad nauseum. While speculation connects the removal to the book's decision, city officials have declined to provide specific reasons to the trustees' dismissal, possibly maybe because litigation stuff, they just need to keep stuff quiet. But moving forward, the City Council will now appoint replacements to fill these vacant positions. This development adds on other chapters to the ongoing discussion about library content and management here in Idaho. And going out of the classroom and out into the great outdoors, another grizzly bear encounter in eastern Idaho marks the 3rd incident since June. On October 26th, an elk hunter, Neil Kilgore, was forced to shoot a charging female grizzly in self-defense when it emerged from the thick timber just yards away. But adding a little bit of context, this follows 2 similar incidents. One in September, kind of recent there, attack where an archer hunter killed a grizzly bear after it bit one of them. And then a little bit later in the year there in June, where an encounter with a resident shot a young male charging his girlfriend. These increased conflicts come amid ongoing debates about removing the grizzlies from the Endangered Species Act, which has been going on quite often, which gives them protections in the greater Yellowstone ecosystem. But in conclusion, while Idaho hasn't recorded any fatal grizzly attacks recently, Fish and Game emphasize the importance of carrying bear spray and staying alert while in grizzly country. And speaking about being alert, the Boise police have identified 3 juvenile suspects in connection with the October 13th fires at the historic Union Block building in downtown Boise, which we've talked about. It took over a lot of news this last week. Investigators discovered over a dozen small fires on the first floor of the vacant building. While they were extinguished before causing structural damage, the case, now confirmed as arson, has been forwarded to the juvenile prosecutors for potential charges, including arson and burglary. The incident adds to the building's recent troubles, as it has been condemned for nearly a year due to structural concerns. But moving forward, the City Council has recently approved about $2.7 million for stabilization work, because it's not the most stable building, and that's the condemned part, while the building owner, Ken Howell, continues legal battles with the City of Boise over the condemnation of it. And speaking of the great outdoors, Tamarack Resort is taking a significant step toward becoming a premier 4-season destination, if it wasn't already, with the acquisition of 500 acres of prime development land for about $11.6 million. Not a cheap purchase there. This purchase doubles the resort's developable area base and connects it with the 300 acres bought in 2019, so there's been a little bit of a buying spree there. The extension plans include adding about 700 new residential units with a ski-in/ski-out access for over the next 7 to 10 years. Additionally, Tamarack is seeking approval to expand its skiable terrain from 1,100 to 3,300 acres through the U.S. Forest Service, because they have to approve that. I didn't know the feds had to do that, but oh well. But moving forward, Resort President Scott Turlington emphasized this development will boost the Valley County's economy through construction and resort operation jobs, as you can guess there, while also meeting the growing demand for adventure-seeking families and individuals, because we have a lot of those here in Idaho. Which, if any of the stories we've talked about piqued your curiosity or they made you think of someone that would like to hear that about them, please don't hesitate to share this episode. Your shares can help us spread the word about our beautiful state. And going to the other very well-known skiing location in Idaho, Bogus Basin is entering the 2024/2025 winter season with significant upgrades, specifically replacing its two oldest chairlifts after 50 years of service. Man, you got your money's worth out that. More details and kind of specifics on the upgrades. The Bitterroot and Coach chairlifts have been modernized with a high-speed SkyTrack 4-person lifts, promising reduced wait times and improved access for all you skiers out there that love to go to the slopes. The renovations include a new intermediate run called Wake Up Gym, accessed via the Bitterroot lift. The Mountain Operations Director, Nate Shaky, emphasized that these improvements will enhance the beginner experience, so those might want to come back again after trying it once, making Bogus Basin more attractive for families and newcomers. Does for me, because I need to get out skiing. I've never done it. In conclusion, additional upgrades include an RFID technology for quicker lift access and new rental equipment. For those interested in getting ready for the season passes for the 2024 to 2025 season, will be available starting November 23rd, so maybe pencil that on your calendar there. And speaking of the mountains, but in sad turn of events, the Wapiti fire, which we've talked about a lot, Idaho's largest wildfire of 2024, has left a profound impact on the Grandjean area since it ignited from lightning on July 30th of this year. But specifically looking at the aftermath, after burning over about 125,000 acres, the fire damaged critical infrastructure at the Sawtooth Lodge and numerous summer homes in the area, though sparing the more historic buildings as well, so praise the Lord for that. The area where the fire tore through has been recently reopened to the public, and the area now represents a dramatically altered landscape with the charred ponderosa pines and evident landslides all over the place because the trees aren't holding as much. Troll Creek shows extensive damage with blocked paths and burned ground cover. Warning signs alerted visitors to ongoing hazards, including fallen trees, rolling rocks, and flash flood risks because of there's not as much to hold stuff there, and we're getting into the rainy season. But moving forward, while the historic lodge survived, its operator faced a significant reconstruction challenges, specifically after missing the crucial tourism season where they make a lot of their money. The fire's aftermath is a stark reminder of the wildfire's transformative power in our cherished recreational areas, specifically over there in the Sawtooth. But there is a glimmer of hope there, however, because fires usually bring with them a great deal of life and nurture, so it'll be interesting to see next spring how much everything jumps back. And moving from the mountains to Emmett, the Board of Commissioners has denied the proposed gravel pit project in Emmett, following 2 nights of intensive public discussion at the Emmett Middle School. Specifically on that proposal, which included plans for a pond and homes on private property, faced strong opposition from hundreds of local residents and concerns about flooding, dangerous road conditions, and air pollution, to name a couple. Commissioners concluded the project didn't align with the required findings, leading to its rejection. While the decision brought relief to many community members, the project developers still retain the right to appeal to the Board of County Commissioners, so we'll see if this story is yet to be over. But in conclusion, this decision reflects Emmett residents' active role in shaping local development, which is more than admirable to see and something that I think a lot of us can learn from. And speaking of things there in Emmett, we'll stay there just a little bit longer. One of Idaho's few remaining drive-in theaters is now listed for sale on Facebook Marketplace. It's crazy what all you can buy on there. The Emmett Drive-In, built in 2019 on 75 acres of property, rather new there, is being offered as separate components, which if you're looking to start your own drive-in drive-in movie theater. I don't know, maybe a deal. The screen is going to be going for $55,000, the projector for $30,000, and the building for $25,000. Now, the reasons for the sale is the property coordinator, Sterling Hardman, explains that the current owners are focusing on other ventures, including the nearby Motorplex and the Roadhouse event venue. They're just doing better with those. While the sale marks a potential end to this nostalgic entertainment venue in Gem County, there are hopes that a local buyer might step forward to preserve this piece of America's pastime, and specifically Emmett's. But moving forward, for any of those interested in doing so, the owners are offering a delivery within 100 miles for $30,000 of the components, making it possible for the theater to continue serving Emmett and the community under new ownership. Which, if you've liked the Midweek Report so far and you've made it this far, please make sure to subscribe or follow us so you don't miss any of our future Idaho content. And going from Emmett to the great north, a crane accident at Post Falls North Channel Dam on Tuesday, October 29th in the morning, prompted some brief flooding concerns, as you can guess there, because dam, if it fails, floods a little bit, but caused no structural damage to the 118-year-old facility. Specifically, the incident occurred during the ongoing rehabilitation work, which triggered a precautionary flash flood watch from the National Weather Service. One contractor was injured when the crane toppled onto the structure. Avast officials and the dam safety engineers quickly assessed the situation, confirming that the dam's integrity remained intact. While the nearby park remains closed and the cause of the crane failure under investigation, authorities assure that there's no danger to the public. But moving forward, the incident temporarily is interrupting the dam's renovation project, which includes replacing spillway gates and upgrading electrical systems through 2027. Glad they're getting ahead of that, but sadly they're just going to have to wait a little bit for OSHA to do what OSHA does there. And speaking of government, and this is probably the funnest one of this midweek report, the Inflation Reduction Act is being put to good use in fighting inflation in Idaho. How might that be? With the city of Nampa securing a $1 million grant to, drumroll please, enhance its urban forest. Now you might be asking, how does this fight inflation? I have no idea, but it is focused on enhancing tree diversity and replacing dying trees. The city forester, Adam Mancini, explained how, with the added funding, this approach will create a more resilient urban forest, specifically after the unsuccessful attempt to save the affected cedar borer trees. The federal interest in funding these efforts is to, 1, improve drainage, because trees do that, reduce energy costs, because more shade so things don't have to use AC, and preventing heat islands, which, if you don't know what that is, it's trees put off cooler air, and so if you have more trees in big urban areas, it causes them not to be this big giant heat sink for concrete. Kind of a little bit of a global warming thing. Also a thing, it's the federal government. We'll leave it at that. But moving forward, it is nice to see some added funding to giving more shade and beauty to Nampa. However, it has raised some questions about why it's coming in the form of the Inflation Reduction Act when the name is for inflation, not for planting trees. But also staying in the Treasure Valley and just going a little further west, Caldwell is taking action against increased graffiti problems with a new reporting system, specifically following the recent vandalism of some historic downtown buildings. The city and police department has launched a dedicated email address, graffiti@cityofcaldwell.org, so you can report stuff. Residents can now easily report taggings by sending photos and location details, prompting a quick response from cleanup contractors, so it doesn't have the same effect it may have. Mayor Jerome Wagner emphasized the need for community involvement in maintaining the city's appearance, while Police Captain Rob Russin warns that unchecked graffiti can attract additional criminal activities when they can mark and get away with it. Local residents like Paris Johnson expressed relief about the new initiative, hoping that it will preserve Caldwell's welcoming atmosphere. But in conclusion, the program demonstrates Caldwell's commitment to maintaining its city's beauty and safety through proactive community engagement, and also sending a message to those that tag stuff that, your heart's really just not going to stay up. And coming to our last story, and something that all Idahoans can be happy about, the Idaho Division of Motor Vehicles has launched a new phone service for vehicle registration renewals, adding another convenient option for drivers. By calling 208-584-4343, residents now can complete the renewal from home, joining existing options like online, video appointments, and in-person visits. Specifically, the DMV Administrator Lisa McClellan emphasized this edition helps serve customers who prefer assistance but can't physically get to the location there, which if you can drive, I think you can, but that's a different question. While county administrative fees still apply for relevant transactions, the service streamlines the renewal process. The DMV is also reminding residents that over a dozen other services, including driver license renewals, address changes, remain available through the online portal. The expansion of this service reflects an ongoing effort to make vehicle-related tasks more quick and enjoyable for Idahoans, which we can definitely thank them for that. And I want to thank you for listening to the Midweek Report. I have to head here, but I sincerely hope you found it enjoyable and valuable. If you like the Midweek Report, please make sure to check out our other content. We're working hard on that. Also, if we missed any important points or provided incorrect information, please feel free to reach out to us via email, on Twitter, by tweeting us at local Yocal Idaho. With the small team we have, we're not able to cover everything, but we do our best to cover the most interesting and important stories. Thank you for your continued support and assistance. That's all for now, and I wish you a fantastic rest of your week. Godspeed.